Oh God, what have I done? Look at this thing. This I did not need. You guys know I have my Commodore 1702 monitor. I really didn't need another composite little like 13-inch NTSC composite 13-inch color monitor. This is basically a TV without a tuner, or back when computer monitors were basically just TVs, in that they were, NTSC composite 480i or 240p. Basically just TV standard definition. This is very, very similar to the Commodore 1702. To some degree, it's almost, well, you'll see. It's very, very, very similar to a 1702. Were they made, were they both made by JVC? I don't know. This is obviously Sanyo. Is that a Japanese brand or is that a Korean brand? I'm honestly not sure. Well, it does say made in Japan. It does say made in Japan on the side of the box there. So this was something that I saw on Facebook Marketplace, maybe a few months ago, and I was like, "Oh wow, that's nice." It looks kind of cool. It looks different, and it's in the box. It looks like it's in good shape. And the guy was asking $250, and I thought, maybe somebody will want it. A couple weeks passed by, and I noticed that he dropped the price from $250 down to $125. And I thought, wow, that's kind of tempting, but, I don't really need it. Somebody will grab that pretty quickly, though. And a few more weeks pass. Honestly, like a month passes, and it's still up there, and I'm kind of surprised at this point. And so I look at where he lives, and he lives in a town near where my friend lives, the same town that my friend lives in. So I'm like, okay, he's down to 125, and he lives like literally like 10 minutes from my friend's house. I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna go pick it up for one of two reasons. Okay, either I'm gonna like the image on this so much that I'm gonna want to keep it, or it's comparable to my 1702. I don't need this, but I can find someone that wants it. My coworker has a retro game room. He mentioned several months ago that he wouldn't mind getting a CRT for his retro game room. So good chance for $125. I'll just shift it off to him. Maybe I'll end up keeping it. Maybe I'll end up moving it on. I'm not gonna I didn't buy it to sell it for a profit. So if my coworker doesn't want it and I end up thinking maybe I shouldn't keep it, then I'll just turn around and sell it for 125. And well, yeah, I guess that's enough blabbering on. I probably talked way too long. Gonna pop this top open, and as you can see, it still has the styrofoam inside. I think he said it still had the manual inside. I could be wrong there. I could be remembering wrong. I thought he said it had the manual. But I don't see any manual, so unless it's under the monitor. Actually, yeah, I can see there is some paperwork underneath the monitor. Yeah, well, I'm going to get this out and we'll take a closer look at it. All right. So there it is. That's all the paperwork was. It was just, I don't know if that's like a warranty card. Yeah, just a warranty card. But yeah, this thing is really cool looking. I kind of dig this. It's kind of two shades of kind of a gray and a beige. And it meets on the side here, and it kind of ramps out at the bottom, where you got your power button and your power LED. And we got Sanyo here, the little Sanyo logo with the little color logo, kind of indicating that it is a color monitor. Very common in the 80s, of course. Probably in the 70s too, I would imagine, on televisions. Even really beyond that. If you had a color television in the 60s, I'm sure they would always want to indicate that it was color because obviously that was fancy in the 60s. By the 80s, maybe not so much, but you still had a lot of monochrome computer monitors, again, for office work. Oh, that's okay. So there's just a model number. DMC 5500. And we've got a lot of controls up front. Again, very much reminds me of the 1702. Again, very much reminds me of the Commodore 1702 with the power button on the far right. And all your controls accessible through the front. Of course, on the 1702, there's the little flap. But here we've got V holds, horizontal centering, brightness, contrast, tint, color, and volume. I don't know if that's the same order that they're in on a Commodore 1702, but volume is definitely the closest one to the power button. I think these are a little bit different, but so that's what I'm wondering. Like, if we have the power button in the same spot and the knobs just so happen to be in the same order, it would make me think it's a similar JVC manufactured chassis. Of course, I've got no proof of that. It just reminds me a lot of a 1702. But again, this was a common style monitor from really the early to mid 80s. When was this thing made? I don't recall. Now, no inputs on the front like a 1702. So the only input on here is on the back. So there's your audio, video, input. That's it. But that's fine. And we got some stickers here with lots of information. On the back here, again, we got the model number. We've got power consumption, says 120 volts, 1 amp max, but it does say 60 watts there, so I'm assuming that's average power consumption, 60 watts. FCC ID, again, Sanyo, made in Japan. And then down a little bit further here, we've got a serial number and manufactured October 1984. You know, I gotta say, for 1984, this thing is in really, really good condition. I have a feeling this has very little use on it and probably spent most of its early life in the box. Perhaps new old stock? Hard to say. What do you guys think? Like, this kind of beige plastic, you would think would yellow, and maybe it has ever so slightly, but I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, this thing's in very, very good condition if this was made in 1984. Wow. Well, let's plug it in and test it out. I'm going to plug a Super Nintendo into it, and we'll see how it looks with the Super Nintendo through composite. All right, guys. A little Super Nintendo Junior with an EverDrive in it. We're going to hit the power button here. Red LED came on. Turn the Super Nintendo on. And there's the EverDrive menu. Looking pretty good so far. Start game. All right. So, I have played with it a little bit, to be honest. I turned it on to make sure it was going to work. And the controls were way out of whack. So, like, the color was, like, cranked up like that. And so I've turned that down. One thing I do not like, unlike a 1702, is there's no detents. Is that tint? Yeah. There's no detents on any of the pots. So, like, your color, your tint, your brightness, your contrast, none of them have, like, a center point that you can feel. So, yeah, I guess that just is what it is, right? Does take a little bit of tweaking, but it looks pretty good. Honestly, I think it looks on par with my 1702. The color might be a little bit worse. The color accuracy, and as much as I've played with it, and the tint might be a hair worse, but the sharpness, it doesn't have that issue with the overshoot. I don't know what to call it, but on my 1702, everything to the right of where, like, a contrast change happens, there's like a little bit of a smearing or a blurry kind of trailing effect to the scan lines, if you will. So everything has a bit of a blur on the right side. And again, like I said, that monitor is also from, I think, 82 or 83. The capacitors in it are that old, and it might just need new capacitors. This looks this looks perfect. Again, the color or the tint might not be 100%. And I don't like the fact nothing has like a center detent. But yeah, the sharpness is bang on. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of banding on camera, a little bit of blanking, maybe some flickering, some stuff that you're not going to see in person. That is just, of course, the nature of trying to record a CRT television, or monitor in this case, with a camera. But yeah, my Pixel 7 typically does a pretty good job of, I guess, synchronizing the flickering or whatever's happening with the refresh rate of the CRT. So I don't usually have to play with the settings too much on my Pixel 7. I haven't actually done anything here. This is just, we've hit record and away we go. And yeah, as you can see, this looks really good. This is quite the impressive little CRT here. It's still going to have the issues that come along with, composite, NTSC, pixel crawling, and, a little bit of noise around the edge of things. All that is, of course, normal with NTSC composite. But honestly, this looks really good. So, I'm pretty impressed with this thing. Which, of course, now I got to question if I want to keep it around. Keep it as a backup. Maybe use this for a while and put the Commodore 1702 kind of into a, storage or at backup status. I can really smell something, by the way. It smells like there's, stuff inside of this that's heating up that hasn't. Oh, yeah. There's a bit of a smell coming from this guy. I am gonna open it up and see how dirty it is inside. Whew, yeah. Let's do that now. All right. So the thing's actually held together with like bolt heads, not screws. So yeah, I actually got a wrench out. Yeah. A socket set with, what are we looking at here? This is a 1/4 inch. Okay. So 1/4 inch bolts, or, bolt-headed screws, I guess, to hold it together. And right away, I see 4 screws in the corners. That does not feel like it's ever been opened. Neither did that one. And it looks like it also has one here, which of course is going to be holding the input board in, just like on a Commodore 64, just like on a Commodore 1702. How many times am I going to say that today? Very similar to a 1702 in a lot of ways, but again, how many times am I going to say that? That was pretty common for its era. Now, it goes without saying, first of all, let's make sure this thing's unplugged, which I absolutely did not do. Make sure it's unplugged. Step 1, make sure it's unplugged. Step 2, be very careful inside. Even when it's unplugged, the capacitors, the CRT itself, can store a pretty hefty charge. High voltage in the CRT, of course. And it can give you a pretty bad shock if you go poking around inside, even after it's been unplugged. Okay. I got the 4 screws out and the one that was on this input board. Is there any at the bottom? No, there is not. The power cord. Oh, I see. This top part's gonna come off. Oh, no. It feels like a speaker is attached. And indeed, the speaker is attached. So I'm just gonna fold this over this way. The speaker is in the right side of the monitor. Right now, our left. And actually, this is cleaner inside than I was expecting. I was a little worried because, like I said, this came from a farmhouse. Very much so a farmhouse. It was farmland, and it had 3 houses on it with the barns and everything else. And it was a little, yeah, so it looks like stuff has fallen down through here. And that's not a pretty look. I don't know what this smell is. It's not the prettiest smell coming out of here. It's a combination of a very bad smell and then also a perfumey smell. So I think he used something maybe to clean the monitor, and that left like a perfume kind of a smell behind. But yeah, there's something else in here that's not smelling too hot. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely clean at least some of this up here where I can get to it. If stuff's falling onto, the yoke, we don't want to be touching the yoke there. But yeah, this is in very good condition, very simple. We got like a single board with our power supply on it and our flyback. And yeah, we can see the degaussing coil. The CRT itself is branded Sanyo. So it looks like Sanyo did make the CRT. Looks like there's a model number there for the CRT. I don't see a year per se, but maybe that is probably a date code there. There's a VY4K. I don't know. It's not relevant. I don't know. Does this look pretty low hour? We've got some adjustment pots here on the neck board. And not a whole lot that I see on the main board. There's a switch here at the back, and there is a couple, okay, yeah. Well, there is some pots mounted on the board. They're kind of flat, almost flush mounted with the board. You'd have to reach down there. Again, if you're doing that, you'd want to use a plastic tool if possible. Don't be poking down in there with a metal screwdriver if you don't have to. But I don't think this thing really needed any adjustments. Again, I think this thing is very low use. I think this thing spent most of its early life in the box, perhaps. It's just in very, very good condition. Again, obviously, whatever this is here is something that fell down through the vents over the years, I'm assuming. So I'm going to scrub in here a little bit with maybe some alcohol. It was a little bit dirty in here, so I've been just kind of wiping it with some Windex in here. The speaker's on a detachable connector there, so I was able to just disconnect the speaker and pull this top piece off. Check this out, though. We got schematics on a sticker on the inside, along with some other information here that you probably wouldn't expect. And then whatever that reddish brownish stuff was that was up in here, I used some 99.9% IPA and cleaned up a bunch of that as much as I could. I would say most of it cleaned up, and there was a little bit in the sides here, so I cleaned that up too. But otherwise, it looks okay in here. I gave it a little bit of a vacuuming, so there's maybe a little bit less dust on top of some of the components. But yeah, otherwise, it wasn't too bad in here. So here's the bottom of it. It's actually interesting. There's like a metal panel here with 2 bolts to open it up. It's like quick access to the bottom of the PCB board. So we're definitely gonna open that up, take a look in there. All right, moment of truth. What's it look like under here? All right, not too bad. There's no dead animals, bugs. There's no dust bunnies. Actually relatively clean inside. As really the whole monitor was. Again, other than whatever that brown stuff was, I cleaned up most of that with the alcohol and then some Windex on some cloth towels, and yeah, it's pretty clean inside. And whatever that the bulk of that stuff now. Hopefully I got out, but yeah, it's just just in general, this thing is in very good condition. All right, so I guess that's it. It's in pretty good shape. It's in very good shape, other than whatever that stuff was inside. But again, it looks like it spent most of its life in the box. Maybe the guy I bought it off used it in recent years, but I have a feeling in its early years it didn't see a lot of use. The fact it's still in the box with all the packaging, pretty amazing. And I mean, everything just works. The geometry and everything is spot on. It powers right up. And I mean, for what it is, a 13-inch screen running off, NTSC composite or composite, it looks pretty darn good. Colors are a little bit more vibrant than what you're seeing on camera right now, but that's kind of just the nature of the beast. So yeah, I mean, in general, it looks really good. The geometry's really good. It's very stable. It works like new. I think it looks like new, and it works like new. Pretty amazing find. Again, I'm surprised it didn't sell faster than it did. But again, he was kind of out in the middle of nowhere, literally like down dirt roads and just farmland. So maybe that had something to do with it, but again, I'm not too sure. I think for $125, this is almost like new old stock. It really is in outstanding condition. So yeah, that's something else. Almost, new old stock CRT monitor in the box from 1984. Again, not saying it's new old stock. Maybe it was used. I'm sure it was used, at least by the person that I bought. The person that I bought it off was a retro gamer. He had like Commodore 64s and stuff like that. So I'm assuming he used it, but before he owned it, again, is this something an office bought and just ended up not using it? And I don't know. It's hard to tell, right? It certainly is working and looking like new. I mean, just everything about it. Nothing's chipped, nothing's cracked, nothing's really worn. It really does look like new, and yeah, inside and out. A little bit of dust inside, and again, a little bit of whatever that was. Maybe that was, cat piss or rat piss or something. Didn't smell particularly nice, but again, took some alcohol to it, and I think I got most of it out. So, other than that, it really is in like new condition. So, a virtually brand new CRT from, was it 1984? I already forget the year on the back. But I mean, again, it's just like, I mean, just look at it. And again, it didn't feel like it had ever been opened. So, yeah, that was 1984. A CRT, monitor like this from 1984, and it's just like mint condition in the box, other than, again, maybe that was rat piss or cat piss or, something on top that dripped into the bottom there. But cleaned up most of that, and it really is cool. Really is a cool looking design. Again, I kind of like the way this jets out here with the two different colors, and kind of working into the power button and power LED there, and of course that Sanyo color logo with the model number. It's just very, very cool looking. Again, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't know if I'm going to keep it. I don't know if I'm going to sell it. If my coworker wants it, he's going to get it. But honestly, it's in better shape than my 1702 as far as just the image clarity and not having that smearing issue that I have with my 1702. So if I end up having to keep this, it's certainly not a bad thing. It's in better working condition than my 1702. Despite being a similar age, I have to assume this has a lot less hours on it, and that might just be key here. So, yeah, very cool find. And again, I don't know, $125 Canadian. That's got to be under $100, $85, $90 maybe US in the box. Almost new. It's just something else, isn't it? Well, anyways, I guess I'll leave it there, guys. See you later.